Hey guys, welcome to my channel. My name is Love. I hope you guys are doing great and are safe. So in today's video, as you can already see from the title, I will be telling you guys the expectations versus the reality of staying in Canada. So we all have expectations when we move to a new country, especially for me, my background basically, I came to Canada in 2018 September as an international student. I'm an international student right now, and I came when I was 18 years old, right after my class 12th. So like everyone, I had a lot of expectations when I was moving to Canada. I had all these things planned in my mind about different things, but when I came to Canada, the reality was quite different. And I'm talking about all these major things like accommodation, jobs, studies, mental stress, and transportation, weather, and so many things. And the reality was quite different than what I was expecting and what I was told by other people. So in today's video, I basically will be telling you guys the reality of Canada, staying in Canada as an international student for the last 3 years. Not necessarily negative, but there are so many other positive things too. So this video basically will be very informative for those who are looking to come to Canada, as it will prepare you mentally to know what you can expect when you're coming to Canada. And I guess for those who are watching who are already in Canada, I think most of you guys will be able to relate to all these points. And before I continue in this video, guys, I would really appreciate if you hit the subscribe button. Our goal is to reach 10,000 subs very soon. And do leave a like to the video, as it helps out to promote the video on YouTube. Also, before I continue in today's video, guys, I would like to share a quick word from today's sponsor. So as many of you guys know, I am a huge fan of Skillshare. And for those who don't know, Skillshare is an online learning platform and a community with thousands of inspiring classes for creative and curious people like you and me. They have classes on topics like illustrations, photography, freelance, design, and so on. So you can explore new skills, develop existing passion, and get lost in creativity. And in order to explain better, for this month, I decided to do a course on Stoicism. The course I chose is called How to Be Happier, Stoicism Masterclass, done by Ali and Sam, one of my favorite YouTubers. I honestly really enjoyed this course as I wanted to work on my mindset and my perspective on new things and mental stress. And honestly, it was a great introduction to Stoicism and its benefits. And the first 1,000 of my amazing subscribers to click on the link in the description will also get 1 month of free trial of Skillshare, so you can start exploring your creativity today. Moving on, let's talk about the expectation and reality, and let's proceed on that. Okay, so let's talk about the weather first. I know many of you guys already saw it coming, but it is an important topic and I want to address this as well. So first of all, let's talk about what I expected when I was coming to Canada and what I heard from my relatives. Most of my relatives and my friends in India, they told me like Canada will be really cold, bahut thand hogi, and the cold stays like it will be really harsh. The temperature stays negative throughout the year. So good luck to you. You will need to wear sweaters and jackets throughout the year, which resulted in me bringing a lot of my sweaters and jackets from India. But honestly, the reality when I came to Canada, it's true. The true part is that the winters are really harsh, especially when it's your first winter and coming from India. The first winters are really harsh here, especially when you're going out to buy groceries for yourself, when you're going to college for in-person classes, and when you have to take the bus, because I'm guessing most of you will not have a car when you come to Canada. To wait for a bus at the bus stop in temperatures like -25, -30, it can be really tough. And trust me, I've been through that phase and I know how struggling that could be. So yes, that is true that it's really hard, but the false information here is that it's not cold throughout the year. Honestly, the winter here starts from about November and stays until February end, when the temperatures are really cold and like in negative. There are summers in Canada too, and summers can be really hot as well. And depending on, I guess, which province you live, let's say if you're living in Vancouver, it will be a little warmer. If you're living in Ontario or Quebec, it could be as cold. And honestly, here are some few clips from my first winters when I came in 2018. I had these saved in my phone. And as you can see, it was not the best experience I had. There were snowfalls once in every 3 days. It was really cold. And the best tip I have here is for you guys is to buy your winter clothing from Canada, like your winter jacket, winter boots, gloves, earmuffs, and everything from Canada, because they go best for Canadian winters. Do bring your winter clothes from India too, but not a lot. Like bring your hoodies and sweaters, but the best would be to buy from Canada. And the first winters, to be honest with you guys, I won't lie, the first winters is hard and struggling for a new student or for anyone who's new to Canada. The first one is the biggest challenge. But as you move on, as you learn and as you grow, by the time it's your second winters for the next year or your third winters, you guys are already mentally prepared as to what to expect, and you guys are used to it, so it doesn't feel that bad from your next winters. But yes, the first one is definitely hard. So make sure you guys keep this point in mind and keep yourself mentally prepared. The second point, which is also one of the most important points and one of the major reasons why I'm recording this video, is about finding jobs and your day-to-day struggles in Canada and the reality of that. So I had a lot of experiences, interestingly, and a lot of interesting experiences. I come from a good family, like most of you guys. When I was 18, when I was in India, like everyone, I was pampered by my mom, by my dad, and honestly, I never even picked up a dish in India at my home. My mother would like cook for me like all the time, like aloo ke parathe, butter chicken, everything like in India, like how every kid is treated nicely, right? When you come here, that's when you really know the reality and struggle, and you learn the value, and you realize what you're gaining and losing. And in terms of the struggle and jobs, for jobs, honestly, it's the hardest part, and I'm not telling you guys to demotivate you, but it's the reality. For the first timers, for students especially, it's hard to find your first part-time job. That doesn't mean you guys need to be demotivated. It means to keep on trying. I found my first part-time job in 6 months after coming to Canada. So I came in September, and my first part-time job was in a McDonald's, and I found that in February. And before that, I didn't even know how to make a resume for a part-time job, right? And when I came to Canada, I slowly learned from all these experiences, talking to other people. I had no one guiding me, and that's one of the major reasons why I started this YouTube channel too, to guide you guys to know more about these, so you can be prepared on things what I wasn't prepared for. I've built a resume. I've even made a video about how to make your resume, on what a Canadian employer is actually looking for in a resume for a part-time job. So you guys feel free to check that out. Feel free to check that video out. It will save your time. And I found my first part-time job in 6 months at a McDonald's. One thing that I would like to tell you guys, it's a personal recommendation and a tip from my experience is, and what I've seen with other students is, try and not work a part-time job in your at least first 2 months of coming to Canada. Don't rush and feel like you need to start working right away, because once you come to this new country, you guys will need time to settle, to get used to the place, to get used to the buses, transportation, to your schooling, to the assignments, to the studying system, because it will be very different from India, to your getting your groceries, to managing your entire schedule, to waking up. Everything will be different, so don't rush, because otherwise you might experience loss in your studies or other places, and it might demotivate you. So what I personally recommend is to try and find a job at least 2 months after you come to Canada, so you guys are already aware about all the transportation and everything, and you guys feel comfortable with your schedule, and then find a job according to the availability. That's one of the important tips that I would like to give you. And work on your resume, work on your skills. Until then, work on your assignments and studies. Keep that as your priority first, and then try and find your job. And finding your first job, of course, it's hard, because from India, we do not have a lot of experience. Unless you do, build your resume like that. And then when you're looking for a job, here is my another tip and the reality check, that don't come with an attitude like, hey, I'm coming from a big family, my parents are rich, मैं बहुत अच्छा अमीर घर से आया हूँ यार, मैं इंडिया में इतना ऐसे था वैसे था. Don't have that mindset when looking for a job, that if you don't want to do a small job, don't consider any job small. Just apply literally everywhere, and whatever job you get, be grateful for that, because it is really hard to find your first part-time job, and it's a big struggle. And if you do find it, congratulations to you, and work on that. And don't, if you have an attitude that says like, hey, I don't want to work this small job, I don't want to work in a restaurant and make burgers, or like sweep and mop. I never did that in India. Like in India, my parents would treat me with such pamper and like a king. I would drive cars here and there. Don't come with that attitude. That's the reality check. And if you're coming to Canada to become independent, you guys need to know that this is something that you would have to do. I had that mindset. That's why I'm sharing it with you guys, and that really didn't help me a lot for the first 6 months. I got my first part-time job with a lot of struggle at a McDonald's, and I did overnight shifts in McDonald's from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And there was a time I would literally at 4 o'clock in the morning in winters, I would be like sweeping the parking lots, changing garbages, cleaning the store inside, cleaning the restaurant. And here are some of the videos actually for you guys to know what I was doing in 2018. Though it was not the best job that I had, but again, I was really grateful for this part-time job. And I'm telling you guys, keep that attitude of being grateful about the opportunities that you get. Don't miss out on any opportunity, and take it gratefully. And my mom would see me doing all these things, and like every other mom, she would care about me, and she would be like, yeah, love, tu kya kar raha hai wahan pe, what are you doing? And if you want, we can send you the money for rent and everything, you don't need to do this. And honestly, I didn't do that job just for money. I wanted to find a part-time job, and I wanted to work to be able to get experience for my future, to be able to grind and hustle and get out of that laziness that I got from India, staying in India. And I learned a lot while working at a McDonald's, even while making burgers in the kitchen, while doing cleaning and everything. I learned a lot of discipline. I was happy as I was able to take out my rent money, my expenses, my food bills, grocery bills, and I didn't have to ask money from my parents. That was one of the best feelings I had for the first time in my life. So make sure you keep this point in mind, guys. It will be hard to find your first job. I've made a video on how to find jobs. It could help you guys in finding your jobs. But keep that open-mindedness, and while you're looking for a job, it would be really hard. You will be struggling a lot day and night. You might cry sometimes to bed, but don't get demotivated. That's the grind, that's the hustle that you're here for in Canada, to learn and grow. These things you cannot learn in India. And I think this is, if you take it positively, you can learn a lot. Moving on, talking about the transportation now. Okay, so the transportation, so what I expected from India, honestly, I thought the transportation, I was actually a little bit of scared. I'm from Delhi, and the metros are good in Delhi, but the buses and the system are not really that good. And to be honest with you guys, I've never really taken a bus in Delhi at all. So I was a little scared, like what if I find my accommodation in Canada, which is far from my college or far from a grocery store? How am I going to manage? I have no idea about the busing and the buses system in Canada. But the reality, when I came to Canada, it took me less than 1 week to figure out all the buses, to figure out about the Presto card that we use for the buses, to figure out all the routes for buses. And honestly, in my experience, it has been one of the greatest experiences that I've had with the buses. As compared to India, it's really easy. So if you guys are worried about the transportation, don't worry at all. It is really easy, and there are thousands of students and working class people who are taking the bus every day, day and night. It's one of the safest means of transportation too. Sometimes, yes, it can be challenging, especially in the winters when the buses get late, like for by a few minutes or even by 15-20 minutes. In the winters, it can be really hard. But again, you guys have to struggle. Unless you have a car, it can be really easy. But if you're taking the bus, it's one of the greatest transportations and the cheapest one. But of course, it comes with its pros and cons. And in the winters, it could be really hard. So yes, that was the reality of transportation, especially the buses. It's a good point, it's a positive point, so don't even worry about that. But still, try and find your accommodation closer to marketplaces and your school or college. Next point I want to cover is the accommodation and your landlords. So I have a lot of experiences with different accommodations and different landlords. Many of them were negative, many of them were positive. In my 3 years of experience in Canada, I have basically changed about 8 different places. I have stayed with different types of landlords, different roommates, and now currently where I'm staying, it's a private place in an apartment building. One tip that I would like to give you guys, I have nothing against any landlord, but one tip that I would like to give to any new student is to try and avoid an old landlord. Could be an old white person, black person, Indian, or anyone who is retired. Again, nothing personal, not everyone is a bad person, but my experiences were bad. So try and avoid those places where you have like a retired old person living who's the landlord, because they're just staying at home and you're staying in their house. And I've had those experiences where they will try and find ways to take your money. And I've had the worst experiences. I've had arguments with my landlords at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I had to leave those places in the morning at 3 o'clock to find a new place. So those were really bad. So try and avoid those places. Do your research from India, do your research in Canada, take a BNB for a month when you come to Canada, do your research, visit the place in person to see what you're getting into. And if you're looking to find a place with roommates, make sure you know something about your roommates. Try and request the building to get better roommates, students of your age. Because in my last place from where I moved, I came home, my roommate literally had a knife. He was Korean, he had a knife, he was threatening me. So yes, there are bad places, there are bad accommodations, there are bad landlords. This is one of the hardest hustle to find a really good accommodation. You guys might have those struggles too, but again, this is a part of learning, this is a part of growing, and there are also many good accommodations. My sister, she's been staying in Canada for the last 4 years. Her experience with accommodation has been better than mine, and she's been able to like find accommodations near her university and staying with other roommates who were Indians. They were nice. Try and find your friends. If you have friends, try and stay with them. And again, make sure you do your research before you find an accommodation. The rent can vary between $300 to $900 depending on your choice. I stay in a private place now, so it's a little higher, it's a little expensive, but I like privacy, I like quietness, and I'm able to take out my money from my job, so I'm happy where I'm staying. Again, stay where you like, but make sure you do your research and don't just think that it might be okay. Lastly, about studies, the only tip, the reality that I would like to give you guys, studies are hard in Canada. It's not easy. You have like deadlines for all your assignments and everything. And coming from India, you know you're paying a lot of money to study in Canada. The one thing that I would like to guys tell you is keep your studies your priority. One thing that I have observed in many of my friends and many students from India especially is that when they come to Canada, and when they find a part-time job, they start giving their job the priority and the studies as the second priority. Please don't make that mistake. Keep your job as your second priority, and always keep your studies, assignments and exams as your first priority. You fail one exam, that goes on your record, and not just record, and you also have to pay again for that particular exam. And studies, paying the fees is the hardest part and the most expensive part, especially for middle class families. So keep your studies as your top priority. Also, it's not like India where teachers will go one-on-one and help you out. Most of the time you will have to self-study and teach yourself. So be prepared, keep that mindset that you will have to study day and night, and you will have to have that mindset of preparing yourself online, and keeping your studies as a priority will really help you out, and keeping the rest things as your second priority. That is one of the biggest tips, and it's not just a common tip. I have seen students struggling with that, so please keep this point in mind. It will really help you out. And I think that was basically all the expectations versus the reality that I've experienced so far in my 3 years. To conclude the video, I would honestly say there are pros and cons of staying in Canada, but in my conclusion, it is definitely worth it coming to Canada. How I was and what I was when I was 18 years old coming from India and what I am now are two very different persons. My parents are very proud of me and they're happy of the man I'm turning into, of all the struggles, of all the learnings that I've learned so far. You learn the real world. You're in the real world all by yourself. You learn how people treat you, how people can be mean, and how to like literally struggle and survive in a place like this. It can be really hard, and kudos to all the international students who are doing this right now. So keep on struggling, guys. Keep on hustling. Never give up. That's the one of the biggest steps. Never ever give up on your goals. You've come this far. And again, if you guys have any more points to share about your experiences, please feel free to drop down a comment. You guys have any questions, drop down a comment. I will be more than happy to help. Do follow me on Instagram. And in the meantime, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.